Good morning. My name is Aaron Page. I am Vice President of Accessibility here at Allyant. Let me start today by thanking the folks from the Texas Department of Information Resources for inviting us to speak with you all. It was a real pleasure to be able to talk with you. You all brought some amazing questions to that conversation. We really enjoyed it. Today we are following up with the screen reader demo that we promised. And during this demonstration, I'm going to show you what it is like to interact with an accessible, an inaccessible, and a completely inaccessible PDF document. Basically, a good, bad, worse demonstration of PDF accessibility using screen reading software. Today, I'm going to do this demonstration using Job Access with Speech, more commonly known as JAWS. It is a screen reader for Microsoft Windows. If you are ever interested in doing your own kind of screen reader testing, I would highly recommend Non-Visual Desktop Access, NVDA. It is a free open source screen reader, works much the same as JAWS does when it comes to kind of basic document navigation. So it will work almost exactly like what you'll see in this demonstration here today. So with that, let's dive on in. So I have 3 copies of the same document. And as I said, they are essentially good, bad, worse. One is tagged and accessible. The other one is untagged and not accessible. And the other one is an image-only PDF that is completely inaccessible. And you'll get to see each one of these in action and what the kind of difference is in practice. So we'll start with the accessible tagged PDF. So I am simply going to start at the top of this PDF document, and all I'm going to do is use the down arrow key with my screen reader. I'm not going to hit anything else, and we'll just kind of talk through what it is that we hear as we make our way down through this document.
Heading Level 1 Summary of Benefits and Coverage: what this plan covers and what you pay for covered services.
So, heading level 1, Summary of Benefits and Coverage, what this plan pays for, covered services. And so right off the bat, it is telling me essentially the title of this document. It is also telling me that it's a heading level 1. And so headings provide navigation and an understanding of the structure of the document. So it's akin to a sighted user visually skimming through a document looking for that big bold text that precedes a section, right? That skimming is something that a screen reader user can do if headings have been properly tagged in the document. And then hierarchy is often conveyed visually through things like indentation and spacing and text sizing and formatting, boldness. That information can be conveyed by the heading levels, right? A heading level 2 is a child of a heading level 1, so on and so forth. So right off the bat, we hear a heading telling us the title of this document. Now we know we could use heading navigation to jump around if we wanted to, but let's just keep going. We're going to hit the down arrow key again.
Heading Level 1 Insurance Company 1: Plan Option 1.
So Insurance Company 1, Plan Option 1, also marked up as a heading. So we can keep going.
Coverage period: 01/01/2022-12/31/2022.
Coverage period. So it's telling us the dates that this plan is in effect. Everything's reading out just fine, right? So far, we've heard several lines of text. We've heard headings read out. Everything's going pretty well.
Coverage for family vertical bar plan type PPO.
Coverage for family, plan type PPO. So everything's good.
Picture of exclamation point to label important information graphic.
So here we get to an image. And so it says picture of exclamation points to label important information graphic. And so a few things here. So one is this image has been tagged with what is called alternative text. And so alternative text is what reads out to somebody who can't see the image, right? Somebody like myself, I'm using screen reading software. So it's reading out the alternative text in place of the image. And the alternative text that has been given is
coverage for family. Picture of exclamation point to label important information.
Picture of exclamation point to label important information. And so that is the alt text that has been given. Then at the very end, you hear it mention the word graphic. And so that word graphic is actually not coming from the alternative text. That is coming from the screen reading software. The screen reading software is telling me that what it is reading out here is a graphic. It is an image. That is the role, essentially, of what this is. And so the way it always reads out is you hear the name first. In this case, the name is coming from the alt text. Then you hear the role. And in this case, the role is an image. So that's what it's like to hear a labeled image inside of a PDF document. Sounds pretty much the same on a website too, and an image is labeled. Let's keep going.
The summary of benefits and coverage left SBC right document will help you choose a health link plan. The SBC shows you how you end up. Link plan would share the cost for covered health care services. Note: information about the cost of this link plan left called up. Link premium right will be provided.
So We just heard essentially a paragraph of text reading out. Everything read out great. Within this paragraph, there were even a couple of links, right? There's a couple of links to plan. There's a link to premium. Most likely, at least based on the context of these, I would assume that these are going to take me to definitions of these terms, right? If I want to know what plan is or what premium is, I'm guessing that's what these links would take me to. But that's just inference kind of based on the link label and the context, right? That could be wrong, just like a sighted user might guess incorrectly. So just in making our way down to this point in the document, we've heard a handful of things, right? We've heard good reading order. The text is all reading out just fine. It's not reading out in these like unnecessarily long, choppy sentences or anything like that. That is good reading order. We've heard headings read out. We have heard alternative text on an image, and we've heard properly labeled links, links that were properly identified and labeled by screen reading software. All of these things here are what you get by having an accessible tagged PDF. So now let's move on to the bad one. So again, good, bad, worse. We're moving on to bad now. So here
sample-completed-sbc-inaccessible.
we have the same document, but this one is untagged. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start at the top of the document. We're just going to hit the down arrow key and make our way through. Let's see what we get.
Summary of benefits and coverage: what this plan covers and what you pay for covered services. Coverage period: 01/01/2022-12/31/2022 insurance company. 1: plan option 1 coverage for :
So right off the bat, what we heard is no headings reading out by the screen reading software, and what was in the previous document, several individual lines of text, right? The summary of benefits and coverage, plan option 1, coverage period, all of that read out as separate lines in the previous document, but in this document, it read out as just this one long string of text, right? So right out of the gate, you can't use heading navigation to jump around. That hierarchy information that the headings convey is also not available. And the reading is a bit more difficult, at least in what we've seen so far, right? Does it make it impossible to read that text? No, right? I can certainly hear all that readout. It's just more difficult. It's a little more cumbersome because instead of it reading out as kind of separate lines, separate sentences, each with a distinct purpose, it's reading out as this one very long line of text, right? So let's keep going and see what else we hear.
43 graphic.
So 43 graphic. We have encountered that exclamation mark image that we heard on the previous document, right? So this is an example of what happens when you hear an unlabeled image on a PDF document. This is one area where there is a little bit of a difference between PDF documents and what you might hear on a website. I don't know where the screen reader is getting the number 43 from. However, in PDF documents, it's fairly common when an image or a figure, something like that, is not labeled, you'll hear it read out something kind of random like this, some random numbers, random characters, something like that. On a website, usually if an image is unlabeled, you'll hear it actually say like unlabeled graphic. So just a weird quirk of PDF documents and how they work is when an image is unlabeled, you might hear all kinds of random stuff reading out as a result. So that is what it is like when you hear an unlabeled image reading out by the screen reader in a PDF document. So next, let's move on to that paragraph that comes after the unlabeled image. So just like we did before, all I'm going to do is hit the down arrow key and let's see what we get.
TH.
So I hit the down arrow key from that image and all I heard was TH. I'm going to hit it again.
E.
E. Hit it again.
Summer.
Summer. Hit it again.
Y.
Y. So as you can see, that paragraph of text that reads out after that exclamation mark image isn't reading out correctly here. It's reading out as individual characters. Sometimes it's reading out one or two characters. Sometimes it manages to get a whole word. But this whole paragraph of text is not reading out correctly. And if I were to keep going down through it, you'll just keep hearing that.
O. F. Benefit. S. N.
And so if I just kept going, eventually we get to those links, right, for plan and premium, but they aren't going to be identified as links by the screen reading software in this case, because this text is not properly tagged and does not have a properly defined reading order, right? So this is what it's like when you have a reading order that is so bad it's not understandable, right? And this is the difference really between that accessibility and usability, right? Not all instances of an accessibility issue are created equally, right? Bad reading order. We saw bad reading order at the top of the document, but all it really did was it caused the sentence to be very long, right? You could still read it. It was just cumbersome. Here, we have the same exact problem, bad reading order, but what it does is it is actually making it impossible at this point to be able to understand this paragraph, right? That is why accessibility kind of requires nuance because context certainly matters, right? In this case, the issue actually prevents you from reading the paragraph as opposed to up on the top. The issue makes it difficult, but not impossible, so to speak. So this is what it's like when you encounter an inaccessible, untagged PDF document. And the last thing I will say before we move on to our third example is that from my experience as a blind user of screen reading software, this is what I expect most PDF documents to be like. If I were to just go pull 10 random PDFs off of the internet, I would expect probably 8 or 9 of them to be like this, an inaccessible, untagged PDF document. Probably the other 1 or 2 is going to be like this third one that you are going to be seeing here shortly. Very, very rarely do I encounter an actual tagged PDF document out there in the wilds of the internet. It really requires the organization to be proactive and working towards making their documents accessible. So let's look at the third one now. So we saw good, we saw bad. Now we're going to see worse.
Sample SBC image PDF.
So what we have here is, again, same document, but in this example, this is an image-only PDF. So this type of document usually results from you take a piece of paper, you slap it down on a printer, scanner, copier, you hit scan, and you save it as a PDF, right? Usually when you create a document in that way, what you are doing actually is creating an image, not a document that contains actual text. This can also happen if you are using something like print to PDF, something like Qt PDF, Microsoft Print to PDF. In some cases, will create results like this as well. And so here's what I hear in this document.
No button. To activate, press space.
Actually, so you may not be seeing this. Let me let the screen reader read this dialogue out.
Alert: empty document dialog. Yes button. No button. This document may be a scanned image which makes it difficult or impossible for JAWS or...
So it said alert empty document dialog. This document may be a scanned image. It's asking if I want to try to scan it to extract the text. And so this here is actually a kind of additional feature that JAWS provides. So let's say no to this for now. So you can actually see what it looks like if you're using, just opening this PDF with the screen reader, not doing anything
yes
else.
Button. No button space. Alert :
So I hit no, and now what I hear is
alert : empty document.
Alert empty document, right? And that is because this document only contains an image. It doesn't contain any actual text that the screen reader can read. So what you can in some cases do is that dialog box that just appeared, it offered to process this document to try to extract the text. That is called optical character recognition. The quality of optical character recognition can really vary. It depends on how good the scan is, how it's formatted, what OCR engine you're using. Many things can determine the quality. And especially when you're talking about a sensitive document, think something like a W-2, where getting one digit wrong can make or break you. Then in those documents, you really don't want to rely on something like optical character recognition. So in the end, an image PDF like this provides nothing to a screen reader user without some form of additional processing on the user's end or some remediation done to the document itself. So that is what it looks like when you encounter an accessible, an inaccessible, and a completely inaccessible image-only PDF. What we do here at Allyant is we take the second and the third ones that you saw, right? That untagged PDF or that image-only PDF, and we remediate that to turn it into the first one you saw, an accessible tagged PDF that reads out by screen reading software. I hope you found this presentation helpful. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. Please consider following Allyant and myself on LinkedIn. Again, my name is Aaron Page. Hope to hear from you. Have a great day.